Hey folks, so yeah, basically, I haven't put out a video in a long time, like months and months and months. And that's because we are in the throes of winter here in Canada. So there aren't too many garage sales about. And there's not a lot of the outdoor shows and flea markets and things like that that I normally hit. So it's been slim pickings, which it always is. I mean, I've been doing this for my whole life, but I've had the store for 17 years. So you sort of learn to lean into the lean months out of the year. But when you do have an opportunity to go to things, you have to take it. And so I went this weekend to the Woodstock Nostalgia Show in Woodstock, Ontario. Great show. I've been going to that since I was a little kid, and my parents used to take me. Since Woodstock is so close to London, I went to the Goodwill Bins outlet in London, Ontario, and picked a few things up. It was slim pickings. I'm not gonna lie. This was not the best Woodstock trip, and certainly for collectibles wise, it was pretty much a washout at the bins. They didn't bring any books or old media, so no records out the whole time I was there, and I was there for 4 hours, 5 hours maybe. And when I asked why they weren't rotating those bins out, the guy said that their compactor, where they put all the books, was completely full and didn't get picked up on Saturday for some reason or other. So they had no place to put the books once, so they weren't taking the bins out. And I think that happened with all the other stuff too, because my wife, I'm sure I've mentioned it before, resells clothing and some hard goods, more newer stuff than anything else. So naturally I had to do some digging for her in the clothing bins, and they were not rotating the clothing bins or the shoes, which is where I pick up a lot of stuff for her at. Bins were not as often as the others, so I imagine that they were having issues with all their compactors. But in any case, I did manage to get some records more for myself at the Nostalgia Show, and I got a few little things at the Goodwill Bins. So I'll start with this stuff. This all came from the Nostalgia Show. These are sealed vintage, I think 1983, I want to say, Return of the Jedi. They're little model kits from MPC. The guy had $10 a piece on them, but I bought a bunch of stuff, so he gave me a deal overall, so I wouldn't be surprised if these were down at like probably $7-8 a piece, which is kind of a no-brainer for sealed Star Wars stuff. They're in pretty good shape, and again, they are sealed. They're pretty cool too, like the TIE Interceptor and the AT-ST. This puzzle was there too, sealed again, from the same guy. You see the $15 price tag. Again, that's Canadian funds, and I didn't pay that in the end because he did drop prices. A few other things that he had, just sealed on the card. Star Wars May the Force Be With You pencil, which is kind of cool. A couple of 83 stampers, which is their C-3PO and Falcons on there. Both those were for $8. 1980 candle. You can see he's got like $5 on these things. A couple of the candy heads. There's one of Chewbacca and one of the Ewoks. Sorry, I'm just digging in the bags that I brought them in here. And then this is cool. This is actually from 77. I remember this is a kid, I had the C-3PO one, but that's the Darth Vader pendant that you could order, and they would send it on a chain. Very early Grand Moff. This is 78. Tarkin pin. There's another Chewie thing, and I think that's it from that guy. So in the end, everything was dropped down probably by about 25% or more. So the prices on Canadian, like I said, these would probably work out to about probably $8 or less, $7-8 or less a piece on those. The things that were $5, I'm sure he dropped down to around $3 in the end. And that's Canadian, which we're at like essentially for every US, for every Canadian dollar, it's worth about 75 cents US. So the prices were like super low on that. So it was worthwhile picking up. And again, and I was kind of looking a little bit desperate because I hadn't found that much stuff at the show. But I did get some records that more than anything else are probably going to end up being in my personal collection. This is an awesome one. It's an early pressing of Pearls Before Swine. They're kind of like a folky, psychedelic, fuzzy, awesome band. And it's particularly hard to find. They did a lot of pressings in 64. I think it was 64. It might have been 68. I can't remember. Of these, yeah, probably 68. They did a lot of pressings. But this is an early original pressing. Not sure if it's the first or not, but it's still early. The Hieronymus Bosch artwork on there is amazing. And so that's what I've been looking for myself for a while. I think it was $15, which again, that's Canadian pricing. So this I picked up for myself too. It's a US pressing of the Who live at Leeds. And the thing about the live at Leeds record is the first 150,000 US pressings came with, I never noticed that, inserts. Now, there's supposed to be 12, and what they did was they made all these little things that were things like it was handwritten notes, some mini posters, contracts like that were supposed to look, you know, legit. And I think there's supposed to be 12 of them in there. I haven't gone through this and counted them all, like typed out lyrics to My Generation, and then a rejection letter for the high numbers when the Who were the high numbers, and things like this. But I just noticed this, which is in there, which is cool. It's Winnipeg's top group, Blakewood Castle. Now there's something I'm gonna have to look into, which is kind of cool. Oh, Sea Fox. So this would have been one. This is probably something they just stuck in, but it's not part of it. Anyways, so finding one with the gatefold, I have a gatefold copy of this. It had none of the inserts in it, so I just wanted to pick it up because this one seems to have most of them, if not all of them. And again, I think it was like $10. Wasn't very much. Now this one is one that my friend Jake Stout would absolutely love, because when I was growing up, Jake was we were both teenagers. I was a little bit older than him, but he was so much cooler than myself. He had a big red mohawk. Wow, I can't remember if it was right, but he did have a big fin mohawk, just like that guy. And Jake and I started hanging out, and he introduced me. He was into a lot of industrial music in the 1980s and a lot of hardcore punk. And this one record, we must have listened to tons and tons of times. I won't show the back cover. The back cover is pretty graphic. It's a nasty picture. But they were a Canadian punk band, and yeah, it's pretty scarce record. This is the Fringe reissue, because I think the first one came out in '84 and this was reissued in '86. Still pretty scarce. Still happy to have it. That'll go into my collection just for nostalgia more than anything else. And then, yeah, I don't know if people in the States are familiar with the Capitol 6000 series of releases that were released in Canada. They usually were collection for the British invasion stuff, collections of singles that were unique to Canada, and then they were released under this Capitol 6000 thing. They usually had different artwork for some of the albums when they were released this way. So they're kind of collected around the world, but they did the craziest soundtracks. This one is The Devil's Angels. It's a Roger Corman film. John Cassavetes is in it. It's basically like about bikers, like biker exploitation type film. I think the like 68 or 67, 67. And the soundtracks were almost exclusively done by, oh man, let's see on the back. Yeah, Davy Allen and the Arrows. They did a bunch of them on there, which, if I'm not mistaken, that might be the studio name for Jerry Cole. I don't know, I might be getting mixed up on that. But either way, it's like, they're kind of cool. They got like fuzzy guitars usually, and they're just great covers. And then this one I just bought because I never heard of the Queen's Nectarine Machine. It's supposed to be sort of psychedelic-y, kind of a little bit bubblegum poppy. Fun. So I picked those up for myself more than anything else. I might try that Queen's Nectarine, and it might end up in the store. Who knows? So a few other things from there. This was a bag of, oh, these weren't in there originally, those were separate. It was just a bag of like Marvel cards from '91, nothing particularly special in here. I guess there's somewhere buried in here is the Deadpool rookie card. They're all Marvel 1991. Not a great deal of value, but I think it was like $4 or $5 for the bag. So I kind of had to, there's a couple of holograms in there, you know, and whatnot. These are kind of cool. They were bowl hangers, as they called them, or pencil toppers that were given out in cereal. And these are all the Disney ones. I believe they are 1960s, if I remember correctly, maybe 1970s, but you've got the Mickeys. There's a couple of Mickeys, different colors. Pinocchio, Geppetto, oh, that guy's from Pinocchio too, but I can't remember his name. Yeah, there's a Donald Duck and a Goofy. So, you know, classic Disney characters. Not a great deal of money, but they were $1 a piece, and there's in the end, the guy dropped it down to like $10 for all 12. So if I can pick up anything collectible at $1 a piece, Canadian or less, I'm gonna do it. Because literally, I mean, you know, it's probably sold as a group online, you know, $30, maybe $40. I know it's not a great deal, but they're kind of fun too. You know, so what else did I get from there? Okay, this is one that I have to give a shout out to the auction professor, as he calls himself. If you haven't checked out his channel, you really should, because he's fairly knowledgeable. He sells a lot of stuff that is similar to what I do. He does paper ephemera, but he does a lot of other things. But he kind of introduced me to the idea of that there is such a thing as collectible napkins. So I found these. I got them for like $3 Canadian, which is to an American, or let's call it $2. They're from a company called Beach Product, and they're cocktail napkins. These ones in particular happen to be for Thanksgiving. Now, the auction professor did point out the ones that sell really well are Halloween. These are probably from the 1940s, 1950s. Stuff like that from the Halloween go really, really well. Like some of these napkins can sell for like $30, $40 sometimes. I mean, if you just go do comp searches on eBay, it'll blow your mind. So yeah, I decided to give those a try, you know, just to try it, because why not? What else do I got over here in the bag? Sorry about the camera work. There we go. Oh, just a Charlie Chaplin card. I think they gave it to me for $10 in the end. It doesn't have a lot of value or anything like that, but I just love Charlie Chaplin. So there you go. I think that's it from the nostalgia. So now, before we get into the stuff from the Goodwill Bins, this is the first time that I have not been able to find something, an individual item that ends up selling on eBay or in my store for over $100. It was pretty dismal there, not gonna lie. I don't know if anybody else there got anything great, but I didn't see anything fantastic. And that's really a first, so I hope that isn't like a trend that's happening at that Goodwill Bins outlet. But I did get some things. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that the stuff I got didn't end up being good. For my wife, I ended up getting this, and I'm not going to show them because she's already cleaning them and getting ready for sales. Got a massive amount of squishmallows, I don't know what they're called. They're these giant character pillows. And I jokingly, there was a bin that had about 8 or 9 of these really big ones in there, and they'd been there for like an hour, and I took a picture and sent it to her and jokingly said, I guess Squishmallows aren't a thing anymore. And she was like, grab them. I was like, oh, great. So I grabbed these massive things, and you know, there was a Hello Kitty mermaid Squishmallow that sells for 80, you know, 60 to $80, depending on the condition, and it was massive. And all the other ones, you know, were all in the $20 to $50 range. So, you know, I guess that made the trip worthwhile for her, even though she didn't go. But I did manage to pick up a few things, but there isn't anything in here that I see that's going to be that $100 item that have been spoiled in managing to find at least one of those every time. In fact, I've got something going up on auction on eBay right now, a small collection of books that I got that's already got a bid at 100 and got 13 watchers on it. And that came from one of the bins trips. So yeah, this time was a little disappointing, but I did get some stuff for myself. This is actually a German-made Rowie, I'm gonna say Rowie, flashlight. It's pretty cool, probably 1950s. I love the button on it. It's in pretty fantastic shape. It's got this really cool glass lens. Again, not a ton of value, but you know, 25, 30 bucks. I should mention that everything I got from the bins came to $40.23. I don't have the receipt on me to show you, but you can trust me on that one. I think 89 Batmobile or 90. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of the Batmobiles. We'll call it. Here, I'm gonna just end the mystery and look. My eyesight is going, but 19. Yeah, I think it says 89 on there. Again, I don't have my eyesight. So, it's a parts one. I have one that's in much better shape that is missing part of the steering wheel and I think a wheel, so I'm gonna grab that. What I did pick up, which is kind of fun, and probably show them this way, is a collection. Somebody must have gotten rid of an entire collection of vintage kaleidoscopes, and I love these things. I mean, my kid is baffled by, like, this is what you guys did when you were kids. Most of these are from the 70s and 1960s, primarily made in Japan, but there are a couple, one from the USA. So, I can't find the Corning one now. Well, there's one missing somewhere, because there was one from the Corning Glass Company. This one's made in the USA from Stevens. This one is England, 1969. That one's 10. They're actually really cool. This one is made in Japan. I love the owls. Clearly a 1960s, 70s type vibe on there. These ones are great too. This one's probably made in Japan. Has an actual glass lens at the end rather than plastic, so I'm going to say probably 1950s. The graphics are great on there. And then this one, I think, is made in Japan as well. Yeah, there it is there. Made in Japan. Very similar to the one beside it, but the graphics aren't great. And then this one is made in China, but it's probably Maoist China, so again, probably 1960s. In the late 1950s, early 1960s. So a whole collection, again, cost me nothing virtually, because everything, including those giant Squishmallows, cost me 40 bucks. This I bought. I don't know why I bought it. I just grabbed it. It's a Elvis speaker. I don't know. Somebody will want it in the store. And then I got all these little mini sort of plastic figures, which were laying around the bottom of the bins. Couple of ETs, some strawberry shortcake little figures. Yes, I'm a grown man and I'm getting strawberry shortcake and Care Bears. But the cool thing about this ET is, check it out. His head goes up when you press a little button on the back. No information on that one whatsoever. This is made in Taiwan. It is Tandy. I love little walker robots, so that one's going into my collection. And that was it. I have one more bag from the bins, which, again, nothing spectacular to write home from. This is kind of cool, though. It is a Nick de Groot. It's just N, but I looked it up. It's Nick de Groot. I believe he's a London artist. I actually really dig his stuff. This was just sitting in the bins, and somebody paid $30 for it back in the day. And I'll probably just find a little frame that'll fit and put it up on my wall, because it's really kind of cool. It's original artwork from what I can tell. Interesting graphics. Yeah. There were a bunch of these in there. There were Transformer ones. There was Thomas the Train. This is something that's probably you just put away and wait. This is the only one that still had its figures in it. It has all the little wrestling figures and a wrestling mat, and you do WrestleMania. It's not that old. It's like 2000s, but again, something you just put away, much to the chagrin of my wife, who claims I'm a hoarder, but I say collector. This I picked up at the Nostalgia Show. Clearly that got mixed in with the wrong box, but it's a 1971 Grey Cup CFL football program. This is actually Joe Theismann. There's some great ads in there too, football helmets. Yeah, this is when Joe Theismann, probably his rookie year or maybe the year after. This might be his rookie year. Before he went on to fame in the NFL with the Washington Redskins. He started out in the CFL. Quite a few quarterbacks did that. Warren Moon was another one. For my American friends who do not know, the Grey Cup, which is I believe the longest running sports trophy, is basically our National Football League's trophy. It's what it's kind of like the Super Bowl, but for Canadian football. Got that at the bins. Little thing for the Asteroids game for the Atari 400 and 800. Oh, this was cool. These were, these weren't at the bins either. These were actually at the show. The lady said just have them $1 a piece. Now, they're the covers for the 45s. I'm 90%, I know I have the Rolling Stones painted black single by itself, so I can match those two up, and I am 90% sure that I have this. This is actually kind of rare. This was one of the earliest, I think it was 64 Stones releases. It's more of an EP than an actual single, because there's 4 tracks instead of 2. It's the mono copy, and I'm pretty sure I have that as well, just the single by itself, so I can match those up. Got that at the bins just because big fan of Leonard Cohen. And the bane of my existence, but I can't resist, like weirdo ones or horror films, are VHS tapes. Nightmare on Elm Street, The Legend of Bigfoot from the Interglobal home video. Interglobal has some rare releases that can go in the hundreds, but these aren't those. These are mostly like $10 type things. But again, getting them at the bins, they don't weigh much. Attack from Outer Space, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and Hellraiser. Classics, all of them. But again, VHS, I don't know why I buy them. Other than, there's a few that are worth a ton of money. It really isn't there yet. People are, lots of people collect them, but there isn't a ton of value. There are, not to, turn you off of looking, but most of them are going to be below $10. Most of them are going to be, you're not even going to be able to sell them at a couple of bucks. Some of the horror can go in big money. Some of the weirdo stuff can go in big money. But you do have to take the time and look them up. So that is it. I wish I had better stuff to offer you. I've actually been, what I do is I've explained, I have a crawl space down underneath the store that I've had since I opened, and I just would move overstock into there. And I've been going out and digging up boxes. Like this one just said teak stuff on it. Maybe I should do videos on that, like when I go down and crawl and grab stuff out of there. But this one just said teak stuff on it. That's exactly what it is. Not all, but yeah, lots of teak pieces on there that probably end up going in the store soon enough, serving trays and whatnot. But that is it. I wish I had more to offer, but I don't. It's been slow. I'm just, hunkering down and waiting out a garage sale season. I'm sure you people in warmer climes down in the States are still heading out to, well, I know guys watch videos of people in Florida who are still hitting garage sales and getting great stuff. So that's it. That's where I'm at right now. But yeah, if you have any comments at all, just put them in the comments section. I can't guarantee there'll be another video. Probably another one. A couple months will go by before, unless I get something really great. Yeah, so that's it. All right, y'all. Bye.